Greetings, podcast fans, and we're here live at Townspeople Nation Studios.
I'm your host, Paris Porter, and with me is
Nate the Truth.
and this is Proper Talk.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Proper Talk. In today's episode, we'll be dissecting the issues of diversity and instability in the professional coaching ranks. But first, Nate, let them know how to reach us.
All right, podcast fans, follow us on Twitter and tweet your comments of today's episode at proper_P Talk. Also, follow us on Instagram at Proper Paris and email us at propertalkparisp@gmail.com for interviews and related sports and news questions. But first, we're going to get into Proper Talk hot topics.
Okay.
And today's hot topics will be 2016 NBA Draft. So, to kick this off discussion, we're going to talk about Paris's 5 top picks with the number 6 sleeper.
Okay.
So, right now the talk is Ingram or Simmons or Ingram. P, you got Simmons at number 1 coming out of LSU. Why is that?
Well, Simmons is an absolute stud at the power forward position, which I project he'll play in the NBA. I'm talking about a guy 6'10", 240 pounds.
Yeah.
He can play like a guard. Great ball handling skills, great passing skills. There are some concerns about Ben Simmons' shooting ability or lack thereof. He didn't take a lot of three-pointers at LSU, nor did he take a lot of mid-range jump shots at LSU. Everything was predicated on back to the basket, post, drop off for layups. However, Simmons is an absolute nightmare in the open court. I don't perceive anyone being able to stop him from getting to the basket.
So you compare it to like a young LeBron James,
Absolutely.
get into that cut? All right.
LeBron James, and with the ability to pass, if LeBron James or Magic Johnson in that open court.
And how does he get free throws? How is he like with free throws? Because if he's young and he's getting to the cut, that means he's going to get calls. He's young. He's the future.
And that's something that will develop with his jump shooting. Free throw, I believe he was around the 70% range at LSU. However, I think Simmons, again, will improve his shooting. He's an absolute no-brainer at the number 1 pick. Well, I won't say absolute no-brainer because with the Philadelphia 76ers, you have Julian Okafor, Joel Embiid, who haven't played, Nolan Noel. You got the kid coming from overseas who also plays a power forward position. So it seems like all their talent is invested in the foreign court.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Right. 76ers had a problem with that. Like, they invested in so many big men, but if you look at today's NBA, now we're looking at the number 3, right? Mostly, like, in 2s and 1s,
Well, I think you still need the center to win,
Okay. You
However,
think so?
Absolutely, but with Ben Simmons being that power forward, again, he can play as a Draymond Green today. You see the way that Golden State Warriors use him. He's more of a distributor. However, Simmons will have the ability to score, and he will improve his jump shooting. Again, I'm all for taking the best player on the board. Okay. Although we have big players, you have to take the best player. Would Brandon Ingram be a more natural fit at this point, with him being a small forward? Absolutely, but it's really hard to pass on a talent like Simmons. No brainer, number 1 pick.
Okay.
Man.
All right. So number 2, we got Brandon Ingram coming out of Duke. Now, if he is pick number 2 and the Lakers, is at number 2 pick and they do get him, now with the Mamba retiring, will this bring forth life? Meaning that sometimes Kobe could be a little bit intimidating, with all the championships and the expectations. So if Brandon Ingram does get picked up, how does it look? How will he fit the Lakers core, a young Lakers core?
I think he's an absolute perfect fit for the LA Lakers. You're looking at a guy who's 6'10" with a 7'3" wingspan. The comparisons from when I first seen him play at Duke was automatically Kevin Durant. I seen his build. He's silky smooth. You're talking about a guy who shot over 40% from the three-point range at Duke. Averaged 17 in the game. He was also able to block some shots. I project him as a 3-and-D guy in the NBA, but with the ability to be an absolute nightmare on the offensive end. I mean, his offensive repertoire is extraordinary. The guy can go left, go right. He got a great pull-up game. We know about his long ball game. You talking about a guy who can drive and who also has, from what I'm hearing, a 40-inch vertical.
Oh,
so
all right.
The guy's crazy athletic.
So for real. So So you pretty much saying Lakers, if you're listening,
if you don't take him, you're gonna regret it forever.
Or hopefully,
you're gonna regret it forever. Yeah. You never know.
All right. So at number 3, you got Jaylen Brown coming out of Cal, and this is possibly, Boston picking Jaylen Brown. How would that look? How does Jaylen Brown look coming out?
I love Jaylen Brown. You're talking about a guy who, another crazy athletic player, makes crazy highlight plays. I mean, explosive. The guy gets off, and I mean, he can finish with the left or the right above the rim. But I also look at him as being a player who can also make plays for others.
Okay.
Now, shooting ability will definitely need to improve. But I was very impressed with Jaylen Brown. You're talking about a guy who, per 40 minutes, averaged 21.2 points a game. So I think he's ready to, another player who can plug and play.
Yeah.
I think he'll be a great fit for the Boston Celtics.
And that's a steal. Oh my God.
Yeah,
That's oh man.
Right.
Boston fans, you got to be rejoicing right now.
Oh yeah.
With an open East, because the East is wide open for anybody to take, right?
Absolutely.
All right. So now at number 4, we got Chris Dunn, and that's coming out of Providence, and possibly the Suns picking him up. What do we see out of him?
Well, I'm not sure he's a fit for the Suns. Minnesota, number 5, right behind him. Maybe he's a better fit there.
Okay.
Chris Dunn has elaborated on many occasions here that he does not want to go to a team that has a lot of guards. And we know Brandon Knight and Eric Bledsoe's at Phoenix. However, Chris Dunn, you're talking about a guy 6'4", crazy another athletic guy who can defend. And I believe Chris Dunn averaged 11 assists per 100 possessions at Providence over his career. So he's another guy, mature guard. I think he's ready to come in, play, and make an impact right now. I think he was on the board at number 5. It's a no-brainer for the Timberwolves. Ricky Rubio's there.
Yeah, but Rubio did say if they don't make playoffs,
I think
he wants to trade.
Well, he can get him out because I think Chris Dunn is a guy who can come in and help the ball club right away.
Okay.
Another player who has to improve his shooting, but most players coming from college have to improve their shooting.
No doubt. You coming up to the big leagues. Now, number 5, you have a Dante Davis. That's coming out of Michigan State. Now, what do you see out of him?
Now, Dante Davis didn't play a lot of minutes at Michigan State.
Okay.
I thought Tom Izzo was trying to hold him back because a lot of
that he'll stay.
Oh yeah, but you lost Denzel Valentine, you lost some seniors, so it was a no-brainer to say, man, maybe we can squeeze a sophomore year out of Deontay Davis. Yeah. But so he didn't have a lot of playing time. He does not have a big name around the draft now. Some people are projecting him around the 10th or 11th pick in the lottery. I think he can go as high as number 2 or 3. I think his talent level is that high. You're talking about a player of 6'11", can step out and shoot it. I like his stroke. I like what I've seen from him at Michigan State.
Okay.
A guy who can protect the basket, agile enough to get out and switch on some of these guards. I think he's the modern day big guy. So you definitely want to get a guy in like Deontay Davis. I just love his game. He averaged also, per 40 minutes, 4.6 blocks a game.
Okay.
So I think as a rim protector, his game definitely projects. Deontay Davis is definitely going to be a steal if you can get him around 10 or 11.
So possibly a future all defensive team?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All defensive team, and I think he can be a player who can also develop his offensive game.
All right.
I think there's definitely room for growth there.
All right, double guy maybe in the future.
Oh yeah, I can see him being a 17 and 10 guy.
All right, so your sleeper at number 6 is Junior
Gary Payton. GP2.
Yeah, coming out of Oregon. So what's up?
I like Gary Payton, out of Oregon State. I was really surprised at how athletic he was.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I didn't really catch whims of him until the Pac-10 tournament.
Okay.
But I was extremely impressed with his play. The guy's ultra aggressive. I think he's able to distribute and make plays for his teammates.
Get that from his pops, huh?
Absolutely. Now, again, another player who has to improve his shooting.
No doubt.
At the next level. But I think if you can get a guy at 6'3", 6'4", with his athletic ability, he projects as a guy who I think will be a pretty good on-ball defender. I think it's a no-brainer. I think he'll probably end up being somewhere around late first or second round, early second round. I think he'll be an absolute steal there. I really like GP2.
Okay, all right. So this is what we're gonna do, guys. We're gonna take a quick break. Give us about 60 seconds to come back. And remember, please tweet us your comments, any questions you have, or let us know what you think about today's show. And so, people, we're gonna come back with.
We're gonna come back with the issue at hand: diversity and instability in the coaching ranks.
That's gonna be a hot topic. All right, guys, stay in tune, and we'll be back in 60.
I feel love, 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 I am love. I found enjoyment in my heart, it's called my inner peace. I separate my hate and love to spot the enemy. I saw reflections of a king, no one can conquer me. I got that love beside my queen, I feel the love, I feel the love. Have you ever been criticized or even been spit upon? Is you against the world, you feel the light, should I keep it going? And why was I even born? My blood is for tainted souls, my skin don't match the message that the system is building on. Now, hold on, just wait a minute. The lies that they tell you vision got you reenact the parts from the film that they keep on spinning. Before my time's up, I wanna know, was I nailed down by some lies to the flow? Got my heart broke for them truth you done stole. You may trick most, but I saved one soul. You may have many, but I saved one soul. I found enjoyment in my heart, it's called my inner peace. I separate my hate and love to spot the enemy. I saw reflections of a king, no one can conquer me. I got the love beside my queen, I feel the love, I feel the love. I got the joy, love, I feel the love, I feel the love.
Welcome back to Proper Talk. We're now entering the third segment of the show. And Nate, what is that agenda?
So first we're going to focus on the instability amongst the NBA coach rankings. So today what we did was we took 4 NBA coaches, and what we're going to do is dissect and figure out exactly what's going on in terms of the instability. Those 4 coaches are Mark Jackson, he did 3 years with the Golden State Warriors; Tom Thibodeau, which he's done 5 years with the Chicago Bulls; Dave Yeager, which he's done 3 years with the Memphis Grizzlies; and Frank Vogel, 5 years with the Indiana Pacers. Now, with that said, and so we can compare this to the everyday person that's out there with a job. When you get hired at a job, let's say you come in early, you leave late, you're performing well, your productivity is through the roof, but yet you've been fired. Now, mostly we will say it could be due to politics, or it could be due to your relationship with the manager. So with that, out of the 4 coaches, Pete, I want to simply say this, like anybody else would if they did a good job. Why was I fired, or why were they fired, and was it fair?
Well, we know life isn't fair, you know.
Right.
However, you know, sometimes a culture change is needed, you know. So
Okay.
I'm not gonna think like every time a coach get fired, it's unfair. But with those particular coaches you just named off, it did raise some eyeballs.
Yes.
You see, Tom Thibodeau had a great career in Chicago, in my opinion.
Yes.
He was able to go through the years of Derrick Rose having the knee injuries.
That's correct.
And still,
Several injuries.
Several.
Joakim Noah, you have Derrick Rose, maybe Jimmy Butler.
And still propelled the team to the playoffs. I remember one year in particular where they faced the Cavs and they tried out a starting lineup of Nate Robinson, Marco Bellinari,
Yes.
players who were not integral parts of the ball club. And so he did an extraordinary job. That raised some eyeballs. Do I believe he was fired? Justifiably so? No. And you look at Frank Vogel, who did a pretty good job in Indiana. Again, he weathered the storm of the Paul George injury. He had a horrific injury. And you look at, you know, Mark Jackson, who did an extraordinary job in Golden State. The only player on that championship team that's currently there was Steph Curry before the team, before Jackson got there.
That's correct.
Now you look at Klay Thompson, you got Festus Ezeli, who he helped develop. Harrison Barnes was a key component of the team. So he was fired. He didn't quite have the pieces of a Sean Livingston. Andre Iguodala hadn't arrived yet.
Right.
So again, you that raised the eyeball. He got those guys to the second round of the playoffs. They got swept by the Spurs, a young team on a rise. They lost in 7 games to the LA Clippers, and he was let go. You know, and that raised some eyebrows. And this team trajectory was heading in the right direction. You know, why was he let go?
Right.
You know,
Dave Yeager, why do you think with him?
Dave Yeager did a pretty good job in Memphis. He took over for Lionel Hollins.
Yes.
He had a team that was close to being a ready-made championship team. Now, there are some reports that Dave Yeager wanted a new contract, wanted more money, an extension. It sounds like Memphis granted him his permission. They fired him to help him get the money he made, because he ended up getting a job in Sacramento, so he got a pretty nice contract. It sounded like the front office and coach wasn't on the same page. However, the front office wanted to rebuild, and Yeager wanted to go for it.
Okay, all right. Now, with that said, since being a coach in the NBA is not also just pleasing the front office, but you got to please who?
The fans. Oh man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're the one paying it. So what role does the fan play in this?
Well, in today's what have you done for me lately society?
No doubt.
You know, they're screaming on you on social media, at the games, and even members of the media. So it has to be somebody's fault, right? If something don't go right, it has to be somebody's
So
fault.
possibly these coaches, it's possibly not that they're actually bad coaches, is that they just good for the fall for the front office.
Well, and sometimes
Somebody got to take the blame.
Sometimes you have to direct your
Save your ass,
attention to the
Cover
right,
your own ass.
right person, right?
Right.
I mean, let's face it. These NBA GMs, teams, presidents, year in and year out, they make the wrong decisions at the top of the drive. Yet the coaches are getting, fired mainly. You see some general managers getting fired, but mainly it's the coach. The coach go first.
That's correct.
So
that's correct.
Let's remember they're firing the coaches. However, they're constructing a team. That's the job of a team president or a general manager, to construct a ball club.
Right.
When you're president of basketball operations, you're putting that product on the floor. So now,
and
that begs the question: am I getting fired for the lack of success you have created? And that's a great coach, a question a coach can ask a general manager.
Okay.
So, are the coaches the fall guy? I believe so.
So to bring in perspectives, fans. So to bring it to your everyday job, if you think about it, like if you're at your job and there's change of ownership or something, change in management, if you notice, they will go after the manager first, which is like a coach, before the employees. Because remember, they still need men on or women on the ground to do everyday operations. So in this case, the man that's employed right now in the NBA will be the players, and they're not moving shuffle until, of course, the new guy comes in and changes management. So that right there should connect to you exactly how this plays out and goes in the industry. Even though they get high salaries, but you should connect how that can play everyday life too, so you can relate to it as well. Now, my other question would be this: with that said, could it be that it's personal? Some sort of vendetta? Is it something that we don't know that's in the industry that we don't know about?
Well, possibly. We know that, thinking about it, the Tom Thibodeau situation in Chicago ended pretty ugly, to where the GM made statements about Tom Thibodeau, his professionalism, about creating a winning culture, cultivating a winning culture. How about a front office and the coach needs to be on the right path, and it's no one's one decision. And it sounded pretty bitter towards the end there. Then you see Mark Jackson. We already know it was in-house problems there in Golden State. Reports were coming out before the playoffs started that he was going to be fired after the playoffs. And him firing assistant coaching. And the assistant coach recording him during team meetings. All those things transpired, which concluded to an ugly ending. So we do see coaches being fired for not having the greatest relationship with the front office. It still begs the question, if we're an organization and we want to win, right? That's what we're in the business of. Is it more conducive to winning, to keeping in the guys who helped us get here to win? When you're cultivating that winning culture, do we want to have continuity? Do we want to have the same coach? You look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, you look at the San Antonio Spurs, even the Dallas Mavericks. You've seen the front office and coaching staff, the regime is pretty, they had long tenures. These guys have been together collectively for a while. I think that's how you build a winning organization, in my opinion.
Okay. So even though these coaches walks on eggshells, they pretty much can bounce back easily. But let me name this: out of the 4 coaches, 3 were rehired. Only 1 hasn't. So with that said, I want to focus on diversity. Now, I noticed Mark Jackson, out of the other 3, has not been invited, or, well, I'm not sure behind the scenes. He could have turned down offers, but it's something that hasn't been put out in the media or out in the industry that this does happen. So could it be that not only instability, but could just in general diversity plays a part?
Well, I think particularly with analytics creeping in, that diversity has been at the core issue. I think you and I have discussed this before, and now members of the mainstream media are starting to discuss the analytics, and is that being tied in with coaches of color not being hired. And analytics or even diversity is an issue across the professional sports as a whole, not just basketball. In 2015, Dusty Baker told the USA Today, quote, quote, we're in a very dangerous situation because people don't really worry about what's right, what's wrong, or what's fair.
Mm-hmm.
And Dusty Baker saying that in today, 2016, 40% of the players in Major League Baseball are foreign-born or minorities born in the United States. However, you have one manager that is of color.
Wow.
So, and you have 32 teams in Major League Baseball.
Right.
So diversity is definitely there's an impact across the three major sports. When you look at the NBA, that currently employs, if my math is right, about 7 black coaches.
Right.
I know Nate McMillan was recently hired by the Indiana Pacers. So, and then even the NFL, who has the Rooney Rule installed, they seem to be getting, a good jump start on hiring, even some of the execs. I know as of last year, the NFL had 7 black GMs or team presidents.
Okay.
So they, and that's a big jump. I know that's more than the NBA and the Major League Baseball combined.
Right.
So
with that said, could it be that since the era in sports are more going towards analytics, and it seems as though that, of course, with analytics, it comes with a degree. Now, are we saying that coaches of color, could it be that they're just not qualified? Could it be that they don't fit the new criteria, meaning that now, in order to be a coach or in order to get involved in the front office, you have to come to show that you have some sense of degree when it comes down to analytics with math? Could it be that?
That could definitely be a key component, particularly when you have general managers and they're interviewing for these positions, coaches as well, and what they need to convey when they're interviewing with these owners is quantifying why players should be selected, should be drafted, signed, and they're doing so in a cost-conservative way. And that's the language that the owners are speaking with the players, and also the general managers are speaking with the owners. So it's kind of like it's cutting out the coach and it's cutting out the general managers from being hired. And some believe that, hey, analytics is stress. A lot of blacks aren't using it, or minorities. I personally know people of color who speak analytics. They reference those stats when we talk sports.
Yes.
So I'm not sure that's quite the truth. I do, but I don't believe it's end all be all either. We heard Byron Scott say he's not taking threes, which is an analytical thing. But anybody who knows today's NBA, you need to shoot threes. He said my team not shoot. So that was a huge black stand on his career, and he was doomed after he said that. As far as I'm concerned, with the fans, people see him as unintelligent. Why would you say that in today's day and age? You need to shoot 3-pointers.
And it's funny that you say that because with the all-popular Phil Jackson, now in the front office over there with the New York Knicks, he's known as what? The Zen Master, correct?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, he's not a coach per se, but he has a lot of effect on the coach he picks in that position. But being that he comes from that era too, it's funny that he's able to hold a high office, but why not someone that's African American or of any other person of descent that has color? Why?
And that makes the most sense. What you're asking. I always look at the NBA. You have 75% of the players in the NBA are African American.
That's correct.
You've had dozens of players, great players, intelligent guys who've come along, who's more than capable of constructing a championship or a playoff roster. Yet we don't see as many get afforded those opportunities.
Right.
So that's a key question, and I think that answers the question: is there an issue with diversity in the NBA or all the 3 major sports?
Period.
And I think that essentially the answer is yes. What do they do to change it? Do the NBA install a Rooney Rule? Well, it hasn't worked the best for the NFL. You still have an issue there. Does Major League Baseball do so? I know Major League Baseball is offering English lessons for some of the coaches from Spanish-speaking coaches.
That's correct.
So that's a huge part of those coaches not being able to convey a winning message to the team or speak with the media after games.
Right.
So there are many issues to why a coach or a team doesn't hire an African American or Latino or Asian or whatever for president. Mm-hmm. There are many things there. How do we fix the issue? I think the way you fix the issue is you open up the debate, you open up the topic. It shouldn't be something taboo that you speak about. It shouldn't. Right. It shouldn't land you a permanent mark on your career to where you can't get a job.
Right. And the biggest issue that I see, at least covering this topic, is this. We're looking at the youth. Now, the youth is the product for these sports, right? They are tomorrow's jerseys. They are tomorrow's leading candidates to promote the gym shoe, a drink, right? A movie. And here's the thing. It's almost like saying that you're good enough to help bring in the money for the product that we're selling, but you're not good enough to be in the head of it, to run it. And that's a dangerous message that's being sent. If, in fact, not just instability, but it's a problem with diversity, we've come too long to not recognize that human beings should be this, and their character and their abilities should be decided basically upon on their skill and what they can bring forth to the table. Now, I just want to talk out there too to our fans. This is a very important conversation to have. It's okay to want to be a ball player. It's okay, to possibly even want to get to the next level of being a professional. But what's more important is knowing that there's other roles to play in the organization. Not everybody is athletic. Not everybody has, the skills to become the actual athlete.
Absolutely.
But there's tons of people, and I'm talking about just not of male, even women as well, that follow the sports, know it front and back.
Absolutely.
It's there. We're in the era now of information, with the internet. People that are fans, and now they can dive deeper into analytics and find out exactly those numbers. And we hear it amongst our barbershops when we talk. Let's be honest. We just don't talk about who could jump the highest and who could shoot the longest, but we also bring up, hey, the such and such, in the last 10 games, he brought forth double-doubles. Have you noticed that he can move with his left? Have you noticed that when he cuts to his right, he gets more calls?
Or he got harder. He don't have heart.
Exactly.
He's soft. He's scared of the moment.
Exactly.
We look at emotion a lot as well.
Exactly. So we look at those things, and those are key factors. So we should really take that into consideration, that maybe we do have an issue out here.
And we're not saying that. We do recognize that there's been tremendous progress made. Mm-hmm. However, we believe there should have been. Maybe we should have a little bit more progress at this point in time.
Yeah.
So we do recognize that the progress is being made, but we're steady trying to push everything forward, push the cultures forward as a whole, to where we feel like everyone has an equal opportunity to contribute.
Yes.
And display their talents, not only in one facet of the game, but in multiple facets of the game. And I'll end the discussion with another quote that Dusty Baker gave the USA Today in 2015, which I found interesting. He said, quote, I've been talking about this minority thing for 40 years, and I hate even talking about it, because all it is talk. Nothing has changed. Who's going to stand up and say anything about it now? Everybody's afraid to stand up, knowing it can be costly to your job and your family. So again, this has been something that's been talked about. He says it here. Yes. Over 40 years he's been talking about this diversity thing, and he's talking about it because at this point all it is talk.
This is definitely an issue.
Now, I do believe, again, the biggest, we can insert the Rooney Rule. What can we do?
Right.
So I kind of disagree with Baker to a certain little bit there, because I do believe opening up the discussion can help bring about change.
Or would change come with we just have to conform even more?
Those are great questions, and it'll be interesting to see what some of the people who are viewing this particular episode think.
Oh yeah, please weigh in. Let us know what you feel about this discussion. This is really deep. We want to hear from everybody, and we're trying to be fair in our discussion to make sure that we hit in all points. We don't want to make it feel as though that we're some would say that we pull a particular race card, and it's not that. We want to make sure that we cover all grounds to see exactly where the issue lay, because we do see some factors out there that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We're not sure if it's due to relationship in the front office. We're not sure it's personal vendetta. We're not sure if it has anything to do with your creed, color, or gender. So these things play a big factor.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, guys, we're going to come back in 60, and what we do, we're going to do a segment called Politics as Usual. Wow. We're just going to end it off with our final thoughts, and we'll be back.
In America, you get food to eat. Won't have to run through the jungle and scuffle your feet. You just sing about Jesus, and you drink wine all day. Ain't it great? It's great to be an American.
Welcome back to Proper Talk, and it's Politics as Usual. Nate, what's your final thoughts?
Final thoughts I have for our fans today is this. Never focus on things that you can't control, only focus on things that you can. There are obstacles out there in this world today that probably deter you away from your dreams and goals, but don't let it. Continue with your strong work ethic and you will prevail. Remember, success is knowing your own self-worth and value. And with that said, P, what do you have for us?
All I have to say is know yourself, know your worth, know your value. And like Prodigy from my Deep Talkers, only sign deals if the math is real.
Word. And remember, fans, please reach us and follow us on Twitter and tweet your comments of today's episode at proper_P-Talk. Follow us on Instagram at properparis and email us at propertalkparisp@gmail.com. I am Nate the Truth.
I'm Paris Porter. We're out.
Proper Talk.